Life sentences are the only appropriate sentences in this case.
She was 2 days past her 18th birthday, days away from graduating high school, weeks away from moving to the University of Florida. She just needed to return a library book. She never made it back to her car.
Not something that, like I say, is horrific as this.
What happened in the next 4 minutes outside a public library in Florida would leave her blind, paralyzed, and unable to speak for the rest of her life.
It has been the single worst event of my entire life.
And the person responsible? He was smiling in court. By the end of this video, you'll understand why a judge called this the case that cried out for a life sentence, and why, almost a decade later, the US Supreme Court itself nearly let her attacker walk free before he turned 40. Stay till the end, because the final ruling in this case changed how the entire country sentences juvenile offenders, and it's still being fought over today.
She wasn't able to graduate with the rest of us. She wasn't able to go to UF. Her life ended that night, and so we felt that he should have gotten life as well.
April 24th, 2008, Bloomingdale, Florida, just outside Tampa. Queena Vuong was a senior at Bloomingdale High School. Her parents had fled Vietnam by boat as refugees, rebuilt their lives in America, and watched their daughter grow into the first in the family accepted to a major university. She had her whole life mapped out. That night, she drove to the Bloomingdale Regional Public Library. Nothing dramatic, just returning some books before her deadline. While she walked toward the entrance, she was on the phone with a friend, talking about weekend plans. Then, she said something that friend will never forget. She mentioned a man sitting alone on a bench outside the library. Something about him felt off. Moments later, screaming. Then, the line went dead.
There was blood on the floor, and the driver's side door was open, and then her phone was like in two, underneath the car.
What her friend heard in those final seconds is still on record, and what police found when they arrived at that library is something we need to walk through carefully, because it explains everything that happens next in this case.
She was kind of mumbling to herself. She couldn't get the book drop open, and then I heard the scream, and the phone just went dead.
When deputies pulled up to that library, the scene told them something violent had just happened before they'd even stepped out of the car. Queena's engine was still running. Her shoes were torn off and scattered across the parking lot, along with her belongings, flung, not dropped. Blood marked the pavement. Blood marked the wall of the building. Then, they followed a trail. It led around the back of the library, into the dark. That's where they found her.
She had everything going for her, and then just one night changed her whole life completely.
She had been dragged, beaten, strangled to the point of causing strokes in her brain. Her skull was fractured in the assault, left for dead behind a public building in the town she'd grown up in. When doctors examined her, their prognosis was blunt. If she survived at all, she would never walk again, never see again, never speak again. She survived. She got none of the rest back. And here's the part investigators couldn't shake. This wasn't new. 10 months before Queena was attacked, someone had broken into a daycare center less than a mile from that library and assaulted an employee there. Same method, same brutality, same complete lack of hesitation. 2 attacks, 1 pattern. And when forensic teams ran the DNA recovered from Queena's case, it matched a profile already sitting in the system. The name attached to that profile was Kendrick Morris. He was 16 years old.
Doubt very likely that he'll get out. When I was at the resentencing, there was a doctor, psychiatrist, that interviewed Kendrick. And he asked Kendrick, what do you think would have happened had you not been arrested? And Kendrick said to him, I would ultimately have killed somebody.
Morris wasn't a stranger to that library. He was a student at the high school next door, known to hang around after school waiting for rides home. Witnesses described him as troubled. He was already on juvenile probation from the daycare center attack the year before. When police brought him in, he didn't crack. He stayed calm, almost confident. He denied everything, but the forensic evidence didn't care how calm he looked. DNA doesn't lie, and it placed him at the scene beyond dispute. He was charged with kidnapping, sexual battery, and aggravated battery for both the daycare attack and the assault on Queena. Here's where it gets harder to watch. Queena survived just long enough before her injuries fully silenced her to ask her family one question from her hospital bed. Not why me, not how bad is it. She asked, did they catch him?
These crimes were not youthful indiscretions. These crimes were particularly atrocious and cruel. If ever there was a case that cried out for a life sentence, this is the case.
They had. But catching him and getting justice turned turned out to be two very different fights, one that would drag on for almost a decade and eventually reach the United States Supreme Court.
We forgive him and we have compassion for him, but that does not mean that we believe that he should be out of prison.
Prosecutors walked the jury through the DNA evidence, the scene, the timeline. Queena's family sat feet away from the teenager who had taken her future. Throughout it all, Morris reportedly showed no emotion. According to people in the courtroom, his legal team had told him something important going in. Because Queena survived, Florida law meant he legally could not be sentenced to life in prison, not for a non-homicide crime committed as a minor. That was the law at the time. Judge Chet Tharp didn't like that math. He handed down the harshest sentence Florida law allowed for a case like this, 65 years. In that moment, witnesses say Morris's expression finally changed. He smirked. He smiled. For Queena's family, it was a measure of accountability, but accountability is not the same as healing. No number of years in a prison sentence rebuilds a shattered skull, restores a voice that's gone silent, or lets a 19-year-old walk back into her own home the way she used to. But here's the twist almost nobody outside Florida saw coming. The exact legal reasoning that gave Morris 65 years instead of life was about to be challenged, all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. And it would force this family back into a courtroom to relive the worst night of their lives all over again.
Say, I forgive you. You know, my mom can say, I forgive you. We can take what we've been dealt with and we can make it as whole as we can. We can help other families. We can inspire other women. If my sister wasn't on the phone with Rachel, no one would have known that she was attacked.
While the legal system moved at its own pace, Queena's actual life looked like this. Months turned into years. Hospital rooms, therapy sessions, a body that stopped taking instructions from her. She can't see, she can't walk, she can't speak. What's left is a language of sounds, small movements, flickers of expression, the only tools she has to reach the outside world. And by every account from the doctors and family who know her best, she is still entirely present behind it, aware, listening, just unable to answer back. Her mother became her full-time caregiver. Her family converted their home into a therapy space. Her care costs tens of thousands of dollars every year for life. And yet, this is the part her family always comes back to. She reacts to music. She's taken steps, literally, with assistance that doctors once said would be impossible. Her sister has called every one of those moments a miracle in motion. A community organization called Join Queena formed to help cover her care. It's still active today. But while Queena was fighting just to hold on to small pieces of a life, Kendrick Morris was fighting for something else entirely, to get his sentence overturned. And in 2016, the law finally handed him the opening he needed.
Only 18 years old when she was attacked. She's in her 30s now. She has her entire life to live. And we're just hanging on to the hope that there's going to be some sort of medical advancement that can heal the brain.
I'm not here right now. Just leave a message. I'll call you back.
That's the only thing I have left to be able to hear her.
Here's the legal chain reaction, because it matters. And it's the reason this case became bigger than just one attacker and one victim. In 2010, the Supreme Court ruled in Graham v. Florida that juveniles who commit non-homicide crimes cannot be sentenced to life without parole. In 2012, Miller v. Alabama went further. Mandatory life sentences for juveniles were ruled unconstitutional. Then in 2016, another ruling made those decisions retroactive, meaning old sentences, even ones already served for years, could be reopened. Morris's legal team seized the opening immediately. In 2016 and 2017, he got a brand new sentencing hearing. His lawyers argued something that should make you deeply uncomfortable, that his 65-year sentence was effectively a life sentence in disguise.
Right now, we happy what we have, and every small improving, we thank God for that.
Psychologists took the stand and testified that Morris had a violent, abusive childhood, that he'd shown no serious violent incidents in prison, and that he was, in their clinical opinion, capable of rehabilitation. Queena's family sat through it again, forced to hear his name, his defense, his second chance being argued for again. When it was his turn to speak to the court directly, Kendrick Morris said nothing. No apology, no remorse, nothing. What Judge Tharp decided next would either send this case spiraling into a real possibility of Morris walking free one day, or close that door for good. In March 2017, Judge Tharp delivered his decision. He called the crimes particularly atrocious and cruel and said life sentences were the only appropriate outcome. He resentenced Morris to life in prison, with a review hearing permitted after 20 years, satisfying the Supreme Court's requirement that juveniles get a meaningful opportunity for release. That review is scheduled for the 2030s. Legally, Morris could argue for release then. Most people close to the case don't expect that to happen, but it is, on paper, possible. Queena's mother said it plainly outside the courtroom. She has come to accept her daughter's condition. What she will never accept is the man responsible walking free. If her daughter doesn't get a second chance at the life she was supposed to have, she doesn't believe he's entitled to one either. Today, Queena is in her 30s. She's still unable to move or speak on her own. She's still, by every account, alive and fighting, smiling for family, responding to music, present inside a body that took the worst hit imaginable and did not let go of her. Kendrick Morris is still in prison, serving that life sentence, decades from any possibility of release. 2 lives were altered in the same 4 minutes outside that library. Only one of them chose what happened next.
So here's the question this case leaves behind, and it's one courts are still wrestling with in juvenile sentencing cases across the country. Should someone's age at the time of the crime ever outweigh the permanence of what they did to another human being? Judge Tharp didn't think so. The Supreme Court forced him to reconsider anyway. What do you think? Was justice actually served here, or does a system that reopens 65-year sentences for review get it fundamentally wrong? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one of them on cases like this.